What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a new video on the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Wonderlands, because we still haven't seen a lot about the game, and for that reason, I want to get in front of the mic today and talk to you guys about 5 things that I want to see come to Wonderlands. Now, these aren't going to be in any particular order, but I do want to list these off and go into detail with them just a little bit to give you a better understanding of what I'm talking about. So, starting with number 5 here, I want to talk about a system which I have wanted in Borderlands for a very long time. We kind of had it in Borderlands 1 with the proficiency system, but this is a Masterwork system, very similar to a game like Destiny. Borderlands has always been a game with a ton of customization options, whether that be for your builds, for your character, or for your guns. But there is one system I would like to see merged with it on your guns, and that is a Masterwork system like Destiny. Maybe like a permanent stat increase on your weapons for getting 500 kills on a certain type of enemy. Just any kind of weapon progression system to help make your character and your build choices feel unique in their own ways. Now, I wouldn't like to see the rewards for this system be really crutch, like making a weapon only good if you've got it complete. But I would like to see little boosts like a plus 5% to accuracy if you get enough headshots with a weapon, or maybe extra damage to the legs if you get enough kills by hitting enemies in the legs, for example. I just think a system that allows you to go through the game having purpose to your weapon choices would be really neat and would add more charm to the weapons in the game. Next thing I want to talk about is a good story. This is not one that I have to talk about for very long, because I'm sure most of you already know that when BL3 released, a lot of the backlash that Gearbox got was because the story was just very poor and not anyone really liked it. You know, there were a few people who didn't mind the story, but a lot of people did not like the story, and that for them was a deal breaker. So if one thing's important in Wonderlands, I think we really need to get a good story in the game. We still have character arcs which would be cool to go and explore, like maybe the history of Bart Stallion, or maybe more stuff with Tina. I don't know where they're going to go with it, but I think a good story is crucial for the success of this game. And while we're at it, it would be pretty nice to see maybe a story skip feature implemented, so that once you've beaten the story on a character, starting a new character, you can just skip right to the end of the game. I think that would be pretty neat and encourage replayability. But either way, any way that we can interact with the story in a positive light instead of being bored out by it is going to be better, in my opinion. Coming up next is DLC classes. When Borderlands 3 released, players were begging for DLC Vault Hunters, but instead we were given new skill trees, and I don't think that was the right call to make. I think the perfect play would have been to release new Vault Hunters into the game, since stuff like Gage, Krieg, Aurelia, they were such big successes with the player base. And I think with Wonderlands getting away with the whole Vault Hunter thing and moving into classes so you can just pick whatever class you want on the go, it would be easier to make brand new classes and have them come into the game. So maybe every major DLC, if they were to implement a new class, like one time they introduce a trap artist or a mage or anything like that, it would be really sweet to see. The next thing I want to talk about is more rarities. Once again, and I'm going to keep going back to this because in Borderlands 3, Gearbox had the source. They knew that people loved Pearlescent, they loved the glitch rarity, they loved Seraph weapons, all from previous games, and they just didn't use it. The one thing I would absolutely kill to see going forward in Wonderlands is even more rarities. I want something to chase. They don't even have to be extremely unique. They can just be more rare, and I am down for it. Just having more loot beams in a looter is what it's all about for me. I love seeing tons of crazy, unique, varying loot all over the ground. So the more rarities we can have in this game, the better it will be, in my opinion. I know a lot of people get really uptight about new rarities unless they have some special feature, and while I'm not opposed to it, I'm definitely not one to say don't add a new rarity if it doesn't have a unique feature. Just give us more to do. That's all I want here, is just more variety, so the more unique looking loot I can grab, the better for me. I think a new rarity should be there on launch, and if not launch, by the first DLC. But speaking of post-launch stuff, the last thing I want to bring up, and the number one thing that I want to see come to Wonderlands, has to be raid bosses at launch. Once again, for like the 50th time this video, when Borderlands 3 launched, there wasn't any raid bosses in the game at launch for us to do. There was no endgame content of that sort. And while they did add Wotan the Invincible through the takedown or even the joke Ice to the Invincible in DLC 2, it just didn't cut the mustard. I would really love to see this game launch with an invincible version of the final boss, a special hidden invincible like Terramorphous or any of the sort. And hey, why not have like previous versions of bosses that you can fight in a gauntlet style arena where they have souped up health and better drops. But really, this whole point could be tied into just more content in general. I'd love to see stuff like a dungeon mode where there's a procedurally generated dungeon that Tina controls that you can go in, kill like waves of enemies, and then go out with as much loot as you can possibly get. Any additional endgame that this game can bring would be fantastic, and I am absolutely pumped to see what they do with the game. I really hope it does well, because I gotta say, with the way BL3 was handled at launch, it makes me really scared going into Wonderlands. We still don't know much about the game. We haven't seen any gameplay for it, but all we can do now is hope that Gearbox have the best intentions at heart. But I gotta think that's gonna do it for my top 5 things that I want to see in Wonderlands. Let me know what you guys want to see in the game in the comment section down below, and let me know what you don't want to see in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.